Let's make it happen.
You usually say, and then I go in, I'm a flippin' animal. No?
Yeah, and then I walk in. That's right.
You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jordan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Boom! That's exactly it.
Do that. Let's do that. Oh, that's exactly it. I've been waiting. I kept on doing this. I was running around. So What's going on with you? Oh, cool background, man. Look at you. Unlike my.
Well, I'm pointing. I was going to say it,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen. There are, in the world of green screens and virtual backgrounds, that is a real. Look at that! You can't look at it. Somebody is jet skiing.
It's
live.
It's the greatest hidden lake in Georgia. It's like Lake Sinclair. Even busy season, there's nothing there, and it's just you're always. And I haven't been here for so long, but I tell you, this is in the world. I guess as a human, you just need to take yourself out of your daily thing and just get in front of some water. I tell you, you see water, and your whole like outlook on life changes. I don't know what it is. It's something. Oh, look at that. You found the thing.
Why look at the real thing behind your head when we can pull up pictures of it? I guess.
I was talking to a guy yesterday who he's like he transforms business leaders into something, but with the point of using music. He's a musician, and he has a program of whatever he does. And I've often said that the way everybody questions whether or not there's a God in their life or whatever. And one day I'm listening to a piece of music, a piece of classical music, and I don't know where I was, but I was kind of brought to tears with this. And I thought to myself, there's somebody else on the other side of the world who doesn't speak my language, who I'll never meet ever, listening to this piece of music, and both of us could be brought to tears. And I thought to myself, there's got to be some connection, and that's how I kind of came to the, a belief in a God or a higher power, is because there's got to be something there. It's the same feeling when you see water. It's the same thing. I mean, nobody hates that.
That's
some
right.
people, hate your shirts, or they hate the way, the weather. Nobody hates seeing that.
That's true. That's so true.
The richest man, I'm on a tirade for some reason. The richest man in the world cannot enjoy a sunset or a sunrise more than me. They could probably do it equally as me. But that's something that nobody can enjoy more of. You just, it's a way to feel like you're part of something, you're insignificant, and you're part of something. You know what it's like?
What is it like?
It's like the military. Like when you're in the military, you're part of something bigger.
Oh, yeah.
But you are an army of one, or you're a person. You have all those skills for yourself. It's the same skills that the top leaders have, knowing that there's something much bigger than themselves, but being that individual who can contribute and inspire. And as if God himself, the heavens were bestowed upon me today, I happen to have met a man such as this. Wow. And he has agreed, thankfully, to come on this show on this special day.
Today?
Yes.
This is unbelievable.
Yes. The first show after Easter. Is this the first show after Easter?
Let's just say it is.
Okay.
I,
A leader of leaders, a man among men. Please help me welcome my new friend, Richard Walsh. There he is. You see, you only take a guy like this to actually flex and give us the guns to make us all feel worthless. Thank you.
I wore the dark shirt so I don't, intimidate.
That's right.
oh,
That's
nice.
Very cool.
Considerate of you as well. The most considerate guest so far this year.
I am just that way. I'm most considerate guest since Easter.
Yes, that's right. Since Easter. I don't know if we had. I think we did. Anyhow, Richard, thank you so much for being here. I am I'm like a military wannabe. I've always wanted. I've always been inspired by not just not just the individual efforts and the strength and all that stuff, but the way everyone is a leader of themselves and can take the place. I remember hearing a story in World War II, and it may be wrong, but on the beaches of Normandy, one of the reasons why the Americans prevailed is because when somebody was taken down, the next person rose up and they were the leader and they followed, and then boom, boom, boom. They weren't waiting for someone to tell them what to do. They were trained to be leaders. And first of all, was that true? And how does that relate to what you do now in business?
Yeah, well, it is true. I think in the Marine Corps especially, you'll hear this whole thing that, Lance corporals, like in Vietnam, Lance corporals were running whole platoons. And that's an E3, right? So you got private, PFC, Lance corporal, corporal, sergeant. So that's not even an NCO, not even a non-commissioned officer, because that's how we're trained, right? Because the next person, people die, right? And you got to be able to step up. And I think as far as translating the business, it absolutely does. And I'll give you an example. I have a manufacturing client. So they produce, right? But everyone's got to know the guy in front of them's job and the guy behind them's job. Okay, when that person is there, they can move, they can fill in the gap. So you do all that kind of stuff. That keeps production happening, right? Because you cross-train your people. It's the same thing. Oh, the Marine Corps, specifically is every Marine is a rifleman. So when you go back to 07 in Fallujah, they're pulling cooks and admin guys, giving them rifles, and they're going in door to door. Okay?
Really?
Yeah, it's and when people think it's just the same, it's not just the same, So it's that's how it is. So you can talk Army of one, but you really aren't. Okay, you can't be called an Army, but I can be called a Marine, right? So there's a difference. Okay,
I don't want to insult anyone. Yeah,
I know. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
You start comparing these branches, Dan.
Yeah.
You're going to get in a little trouble.
Right, okay.
Don't say anything about crayons either. Let's
crayons are good, but just understand that it's okay because I'm on, so we've got the best. So it's just
that's it.
We're not going to go wrong with that.
There we go.
Well,
that's value, baby.
Well, I love it. So, but in the business world, and you do that. You say so. You help. Is it companies or individuals? What's your sweet spot?
Here's my tagline. I'm honing entrepreneurial warriors on the battlefield of business. Okay, so I'm dealing primarily with business owners, right? Mm-hmm. But we're creating the entire package, right? Full systemization of their business. Obviously, we're dealing with personnel and everything else, but it really is my sweet spot is most business owners all start out at one place. A lot of them start as technicians, right? Maybe you're a great carpenter. Maybe you're a great plumber. Maybe you're a great IT guy. And you start your own business because you think you can do it better than the guy you're working with. Well, they do good, but they don't know what running a business is, right? So what happens is they're hustling those first 2 years and they start making some money and they're doing things. The problem is they don't know where to go from there. So now they've been in business for 10 years and they keep repeating the first 2 years. Right? So
Tell me about it.
So they don't scale, right? And they're just kind of stuck. Again, they can make a little bit of money, but they can't really scale their business. So what we do is show them how to get off that hamster wheel and create freedom for themselves because they're in that first 2 years, you work all the time, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week. And then also in 10 years, you're still working 80 hours a week. And it's not what people get in business to do. Okay. No one goes in with the intent to work 80 or 100 hours a week for themselves. So the goal is to flip it around and have the business start serving them instead of them serving it. Because that's really what they're just a slave to their business. And that's why I wrote the book, Escape the Owner Prison, because they're trapped. They just are trapped. What's
the name of the book again?
Escape the Owner Prison. Matter of fact, I just happen to have it handy.
Oh, look at that.
There we go. Okay.
Well, look at that.
The contractor's new way to scale, regain control, and fast track growth while loving life.
Well, that is awesome. And is that available?
It's available on Amazon. That's a great place to get it because they dominate the book market.
Yes. Well, if you know anything about Chris Stone, he dominates the podcast producer market. So he automatically, look at that. Is that unbelievable how he just brings that up just like that?
Well, yeah. When I first heard of him, I just typed in my Google search. I put legend, and he popped up.
That SEO juice is working. Thank you.
It's amazing.
Well, here's what you say is so impactful and so true, and so difficult to get out of it. I think I've said to you, but I've heard it before. If your business isn't giving you more life, it's taking it away.
Right.
And being in the middle of it, you really don't even feel it. I mean, like I said earlier, I'm here at the lake today because I haven't been here at 6 months, and my wife laid down the hammer. And you're just, and you don't realize it because it becomes, it's come second day. I wake up at 0400 and I'm rocking and rolling.
Yeah, Dan, I got to tell you, I was that way. So I just love building my first business of 20 years. I'd built custom water features, all over the place and whatever, world recognized steel sculptor. I've done some really cool stuff, but I didn't realize until like 08, 09, all of a sudden we had 6 children, all under the age of 4. Okay. And like, I'm working all these hours, things are starting to get tenuous, to say the least. In 08, things started kind of crashing down around everybody. And I kind of woke up one day thinking, I had the epiphany that I'm doing all this, and my kids, even at that young age, all they cared about was when I came home and when I left. They attacked me when I got home, and they chased me, down the driveway in my truck, when I left. They didn't care what I drove, where we lived, what I did, what kind of cool stuff I had, how much money I had. And I realized, man, I am killing myself, and I'm not doing my business correctly to have that time to grow these kids up. And the big epiphany was, if I stay on this trajectory, all my kids are going to know is business comes first. I will destroy 6 lives and their wives and their families in the future. That came to me that's not a good thing. Okay. That's not, there's no money worth that. None at all.
And is that a common story?
Yes. Yeah, it really is. Yeah. Like I said, that's why I wrote the book. I looked at my story. I looked at everyone I knew, because, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, other business owners, and we're all cut from the same cloth. It's kind of unusual. There's 5% of us who are really made to do this, right? But we all have that drive. We have the ambition, but we tend to, that ambition actually is what ruins your life. You don't keep it in the right place. As some good friends of mine said once, ambition belongs in the passenger seat, not the driver's seat. When ambition gets in the driver's seat, really bad things happen. Wow. So you got to be able to tether that and have that work that way. So, but that is the problem, because those hours and that drive, and you want a successful business so you can do things with your family, have the money you want. You want the freedom to do what you want, when you want, right? You don't want to have those concerns. You want to make an impact in other people's lives. But you don't realize after 5 years, 10 years, you've just sacrificed your life, your family, all this for others. And it's just, I just want to prevent that. That's my goal.
Well, yeah, it can sneak up on you, right?
Yeah,
You think, your aspirations when you start doing this thing are, great. Like you said, like, well, this is something I can build for my family and for my legacy. And I can, generate the money that maybe I didn't have and provide things for my family, like all of those things. And then all of a sudden you get the jackhammer from the wife, like Dan said, or you get a reminder when, the kid screws up and you're like, I should have, like, there's something that maybe I could have done to prevent that, but I was too nose deep in, working 60, 70 hours a week on, this particular business. It can sneak up on you easily.
Well, it's because you enjoy it.
Right.
As
that's the
men,
other
you
part,
kind of just enjoy producing something. And
but I don't enjoy screwing over my family.
Yeah, I know.
It feels selfish at that point.
So you said you had 6 kids.
Yes.
Do you remember all their names in order?
Let me look. Yes, of course I do.
Well, what are their names?
These are the hard-hitting
Do you
questions.
want youngest to oldest or oldest to youngest? How would you like?
I'm a forgiving man.
I can start in the middle and go both directions.
Yeah.
Whoa, this is like a drunk driving
How
test.
about from your favorite to your least favorite?
I can't do that because they'll see this. And I'll never live that down. That is no good. So I'll start youngest. Okay, my youngest name is Tia. She's just turned 16 last week, 2 weeks ago. Tia, who's next? It would be Oliver and Xavier. They're twins. They're 17. And then there's Augustine and Adeline. They're 18. And then there's D'Angelo, who's 19, just graduated Marine Corps boot camp. He's heading back Monday to Camp Pendleton for School of Infantry. Yep.
Well, congratulations. Awesome. That's
made it through it. Boy, that was tough. You can have,
and your bride?
Get an award.
My bride's name is Andrea. She's beautiful, and I love her. And she is a trooper. We've homeschooled our kids the whole way through. So we've done that as well.
All of them?
All of them, yes.
Wow.
Well, yeah, so that provokes a question. How does a military type disciplined man manage a troop of school age kids in that environment without pushing them away?
Well, it's funny you say that, because when they were first coming along rapidly, I'm like, well, I'm going to put a sand pit in the backyard. When they misbehave, I'm thrashing them in the pit. It's mountain climbers, it's bends and thrusts, it's make it rain. I'm going to have a blast, and they're going to suffer. Okay. And they'll never do that again. And my wife just looked at me. She goes, yeah, we're not doing that. And I said, no, it'll work. And then I started realizing, because I'm a big fan of fitness and working out and everything. If I do that, fitness now becomes a punishment at that age, and they will hate fitness, and I'm like, again, ruin my children. Okay. Wow. I was on a bad trajectory. So I put the kibosh on that, right? Like we never did the sand pit. I made a sandbox they could play in, but I never once thrashed them in it.
Wow, that's brilliant, by the way. There's a little dose of profundity right there when he throws that out, because when you're training and coaching anybody, business leaders, the CFOs, CEOs, things like that, you don't want to make the tools that you use to make them better actual punishment. How do you do that, like in your programs? So
now there's a small percentage of us, okay, that thrive via negative reinforcement, like the Marine Corps. Okay, the Marine Corps thrives on negative reinforcement. Okay, but that's a really small percentage, so it's not effective in business. It's not effective working with your clients. Okay, it just doesn't happen. So what we don't do is, it's always elevation, right? It's an explanation, it's a system, it's a process that you build, right? And it's also how it really works is just, you can't just tell the owner and like, go roll this out. It's always getting the buy-in from the entire team. So whether it's the department or the company-wide or whatever it is, I insist that my clients, we bring the teams in. I work with the teams. I let them, they get buy-in. They get to review what we're doing and give us feedback, right? So we get in, because if I'm going to give them a new thing for the accounting department, whatever it is, whether it's like important they understand, they may have insight. And if they can give us insight to make it better, that's awesome. Either way, they're now part of the process. So what does that do? It creates loyalty. Okay. It gives them, what would be the word? I want to say prestige, but it gives them a voice.
Stature.
Right? Yeah. It gives them stature and a voice.
Skin in the game. Yeah.
Right. They're able to give feedback. And that's one of the top 3 things that employees want that they don't get. They want to give feedback. Okay. They want to work with a purpose. They want quality feedback. Then they want money. Money's never number one.
Feeling valued, right?
Yeah,
I think everybody
exactly.
wants to feel like
Yeah.
they're valued.
I believe I've heard that people don't quit their jobs; they quit their managers, they quit their bosses.
Yeah.
And most people don't feel like they're relevant. You know, you need to.
And I've been in a lot of businesses, helping them, and I go on site and I just, wow, it's this method that's been perpetuated for 120 years, since really the Industrial Revolution. Time for dollars, work hours, work more hours, do this, get more done, do this. And it's not like I don't want people to work, because I love work and we're all made to work. But the whole thing is like, what really is the outcome? It's really teaching people to base what they do on outcomes. And it's not, oh, the trash needs to be taken out. Okay, take the trash out from the lobby and bring it back. What's the outcome? The trash got emptied? No. The outcome is the lobby's clean. A customer comes in, it's a clean, presentable place. It elevates the reputation of the business, whereas an overflowing trash can lowers the reputation, right? So we get them in the mindset to start thinking about real outcomes in that customer journey, everything they do, that this matters. And you're a hero in this part of the journey. See, that's the key, is how does every person in your business become a hero in the journey of that outcome, that final end product, customer, and beyond? That's the real secret.
Yeah, that's dead on. Like, those love languages. So my wife's love language is take the garbage out
Acts of service.
Before I ask you to take the garbage out. She just wants it done. And there's such simple things, and I don't do it. It's like, don't leave the glass or the stuff in the sink. If it's 2 things, clean them or whatever, put them away. It's like so simple, and I don't do it. But if I do it, I get such grace.
Your wife and I would get along. I'd say the same thing about glasses and stuff on the sink.
Yeah.
When you got 8 people, you don't put stuff on the sink. You clean it.
That's right.
But you brought up a good point, Dan. It's that taking the trash out without her asking, that's called honoring her. Okay? There's obedience and there's honor. People will do what you tell them because you're the boss. Okay? You're the owner, you're the head of the house, whatever that is. So that's more like, I have to do it either because I'm afraid of you or I was told to do it or whatever that is. Honor is, I took it out because I know my dad or my mom would love to see the garbage empty before they have to tell me. That's honor, right? So if you can instill honor into your children especially, but also in your workforce, so they understand, like, I don't do this because there's a checkbox on my list. I do it because I want to honor those above me and around me, right? I'm not going to be the weak link in that success chain. I'm going to be the hero because I honor others.
Very cool. So when you go into a company, so what's your landmark, or what's your basic course? I'm a company. I have I'm a manufacturing facility. I've got 40, 50 people, a dozen in the office, and the rest out there on the floor. I want to be more efficient, better. I want to be a better leader. I want to retain my people better. I just want better.
Right.
Where do I start?
So this is what I do, okay? And this is pretty unique to what we do. We actually start with what I call a strategic vision, okay? And this is the cornerstone of everything the business does from this point on. So we begin with it. And actually in the whole program, it was just like 12 months. That's probably the hardest thing you're going to do. Okay, a strategic vision is what we call future cast. It's not what your business is doing right now. It's what you want it to do in the next 18 to 24 months. But every aspect is going to be, what are the things and how are we going to fulfill that? And it's actually written out. It's 6 to 10 pages long. Okay. Everyone who's involved in the business is in this. Okay. We call it an internal document. Okay. This isn't a marketing piece or anything else. But anyone who comes on board or is looking to be hired on the company, what they'll do is they'll get this first and they'll read through it and they have to find themselves in it. Right. So they'll call, okay, did you read the strategic vision? They'll say yes. Say, okay, where do you see yourself fitting? And then they'll give you a position in there. And of course, if they say they didn't read it, then we just hang up because they're not going to work for us. But the whole goal of that is really so they understand where the company's going. So everyone is working for that strategic vision to fulfill it, right? So they understand why it's important they're there, what their purpose is. And of course, along with that is there's job function systemization, how to do everything right. All that's organized as well. But now we move forward to make that complete. And then you get there, and I have companies that have reached that point, right? Then they write another one. And they come up with the new things and they keep moving forward. So that's it. All that is like systemization and everything else in there. But if you don't start with that, you're adrift because you can't lead people if you don't have a vision. A mission statement is wallpaper. We want to be the best in the 6 counties of what I want the best sales. Like that is, there's nothing motivating about that at all.
Right.
You know? So when we talked about that purpose earlier, this gives them purpose. This gives them direction, and everybody's working for it. And when someone's not able to fulfill that, we let them go because they can't fulfill the strategic vision. That's what our company's focused on, is fulfilling the strategic vision. And if you're unable to do that, you can't be on the team.
And when do they know that? Like in your process, you're starting with a company. As a business owner, hey, you're gonna come in here, Richard Walsh, and you're gonna, I don't know, talk to my team, or we're gonna fill out this vision stuff or what have you, and I'm gonna scare. It's a tough time right now finding employees. I mean, people in manufacturing facilities are actually going to automation because they can't find enough people to fulfill, the tasks. You're gonna get rid of all my people. I had this with a pest control company once. A consultant went in and he got rid of all the guys that were non-performers. And then, so the owner of the company went to the consultant and said, hey, here's your truck. Go out and do a route today. I got nobody else to do it. I'm scared I'm going to lose everybody. How do you prevent that?
So here's what you do. So when you do a strategic vision, you're working with the owner, right? You're not working with the teams yet. He builds this out. He or she builds this out. We work with that. I show them how to do it. It's kind of a combination of story and fact, and you're creating things that will happen, right? So it's very readable. And the goal is to get that finalized. There's pictures in it and everything else. From there, we do a rollout. We do a strategic vision rollout with the company. All right. So what that means is we sit everyone down. We give them a copy of this, and the owner literally reads it to them. Okay. They read this to them. They walk the whole thing. Everyone's got a highlighter, and they're going to highlight where they're at right now. They work for the company. Because every position is covered. So if you have 13 different positions, you're going to find yours and you're going to highlight yours. Okay. And then you're going to, done this again and again and again. It's an unbelievable experience. The reaction from the people are like, this is what I'm talking about, because there's purpose. Now they're like, oh, we're actually going to do this for a reason? Because
that's great.
They don't want to, everyone thinks they want to do it for the paycheck. I'm telling you, it's third or lower on the list. If you build something like this, and I've proven it with company after company, you will draw great people, okay? I've had people come who have taken pay cuts because they want to work with that company, okay? Because that's how much it matters to them.
Really?
That's a testament to the power of that. But the people in the room, they have vision now. There's a Bible verse, Habakkuk 2:2. Write your vision on tablets, make it plain so the man can run with it, right? So they can run with it. They pick it up and run with it. If it's simple and they see it and they understand the outcome, they can run with this vision. Now they're all contributing. You even talk about like who you're giving to and what you're doing. I share, like if you see mine for Sharpen the Spear Coaching, I talk about my whole day. This is how it starts. I'm up at 4, I do this, I work out, I go here, we have this, we do a Bible study, we do this, we do lunch, we have a CEO meeting, we have a C-suite meeting, we do this. So we follow the vision. We create this, and everyone knows their part. And it's not, again, you don't roll it out once and don't talk about it. Yeah. This is front of mind all the time. And they can just go to their little highlighted portion and remind themselves what they're doing. It's really cool.
Wow. So that and that's part of your program, or is that, do some people just, you have a boot camp to do that?
No.
Okay. So
because if you do that, you can't, because that's not enough. Here's the problem, right? You get like if you put in a really good foundation for the building, but you don't know how to frame, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
The house is not going to turn out so well. Okay. So you've got to continue the process. You got to go from start to finish. But if you don't get that right in the beginning, nothing else can be built on top of it. Right.
I love this. I mean, I feel it just gives me peace to know that you can go in and know exactly what you're doing, you know, and what your place is there. You know, because I find that small businesses, I find up to a certain size, up to about 10 people in any kind of service company, everybody knows that everybody is so important. Like if in my I had a lawn care business once. We had about 8 guys out on routes. If somebody didn't come in, that route didn't get done. Somebody else had to cover it. It was a pain in the rear end. Everybody counted on each other, and they liked each other. So they, you know, they felt they were part of a team. When it gets bigger, that kind of they won't miss me today.
Yeah, it's very true. Again, the importance of that is people have to have the full buy-in, right? They have to know why they're there. Now, there's a lot more elements that we build into this, right? So you go into like job functions, job systemization. So functions are, if you're a CNC operator, okay, I'll use a manufacturing term. Well, what do you actually do? You have like 6 different functions that you perform to complete your tasks on that machine, right? So they know what that is and know how to do it. Okay, that's good. But now, okay, great. I know that. I'm hired. I'm a CNC operator. I have these job functions. I know what I do. But is this my life forever? So what we do is we create levels inside the position. So what that means is you got level 0, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 levels total, right? And they're both time and qualifications. So there's a certain amount of time you have to be at that level, but there's also things you have to achieve at that level before you advance to the next level. You're still at the same position, but you're advanced to a level, and there can be a pay increase, bonuses. And what we want to do is we build people too. So it's not just learn how to operate the machine better. It's like, hey, we're going to get you CPR certified. We're going to give you some educational stuff. Right, we're going to give you that, so you're going to improve as a person as you go up these levels. Because what we want is we want them not only to do well in their job, but what happens when they go home? If they're valued as a person, if they're able to achieve more and more, these 4 levels, that could take 2 or 3 years during that time before they're eligible, say, a promotion to another position. They take this home and they learn this stuff. Now they can bring it to their families, and their families do what? They bring it to the community.
Wow.
Right. So you're changing. If you have 35, 40 employees and you do this with, they go home, you are literally changing hundreds, even thousands of people's lives with that approach, because they're thinking different. You're training them. If people come to work, this is just what you were saying, Dan. If someone comes, they don't know what to do, or they think they just have to, no one's hired to figure it out. The biggest mistake that a lot of owners do is they think they hired people like themselves. As entrepreneurs, as owners, we will figure everything out. You don't have to tell us what to do. We'll just do it, right? We'll figure out any problem. We'll solve it. We don't go asking people. We don't go telling people. We don't cry about it. We get it done, right? Employees don't do that, nor should they, okay? You can't have that expectation of them doing it. They didn't come there for that. You could be you could be the best. You could be at 82.5% closer year after year, and you're amazing, right? You aren't coming to build a sales system. You're coming to sell and close. You're coming to close. And if you don't have the system built as a company that I can thrive in, and you give me every opportunity to close, I'm out. Okay, you didn't hire me. You're not paying me I don't want to build a system. It's the same thing with anybody. If they can come in and know what they have to do, understand their job functions, understand these levels, understand their route to promotion, the pathway, they can come in and function. They know their boundaries. They know their expectations, right? And that's articulated very clearly in what we build, right? So there's none of that. Oh, you didn't tell me. Yeah, well, if you go here, okay, I did. And this is how you do it. We trained you this way. Everyone gets trained the same. So you eliminate all that nonsense, and that's what builds your efficiency. And you can train them to think. I'll give you a real live example. I got this yesterday.
Please.
I have a custom vanity builder, right? So he does these high-end, beautiful woodwork, right? But they produce, say a saw goes down. His guys will stand there and look at it. It's broken. And they could do that for 3 hours and just look at it. Or they'll come tell him, hey, the machine's broken, and they'll go to lunch. There's a number on the machine. If you had a problem, you just call it. tell them what's wrong, and they'll walk you through and fix it, right? Like literally in like 10 minutes. They don't do that. So he's like beside himself because 4 guys told him one machine was broken and no one did anything about it. And I'm like, well, let's fix that. Like, give me about a minute, we'll fix it. It's really easy. Okay. Take that number. We're going to write down the whole troubleshooting process. When this goes down, you call this number, you do this, you submit this picture, you get them on the horn, and you go through the troubleshooting process. It's laminated, literally stuck to the machine, and you take them over to it and say, next time this goes down, you're going to follow all these procedures, you see, and you go this. And if you come to me before you've done all this and it isn't resolved, I will have your head. You will not work here. Okay, you do not knock on my door when you haven't. And he says, "Oh," I go, "You let them do this.
We will take you to the sandbox and thrash you."
Yes, exactly. Out to the dumpster. I'm going to put you in the dumpster.
Unbelievable. But you're right. So simple. Well, first of all, I have 2 or 3 things. One of them, Chris Stone. Someone deserves confetti when they do a Bible verse. You know, for crying.
Oh, is that that's a new rule? Hey, you know what? Listen, it's your show.
That's right.
So and Habakkuk of all books, right?
Yeah.
I mean, geez,
everyone
nobody
starts there.
quotes Habakkuk.
Don't they just start there? Don't you start
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, I mean, start anywhere. I mean, you know, I usually start numbers.
Wait till I do Obadiah. No one does anything in Obadiah.
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 Actually, you could do Leviticus and just talk about numbers. This beget this, and this beget this.
And we'll all lean over and go to sleep.
Yeah. So, secondly, first of all, awesome. I don't know how you can inspire people to do this, but like you just have that leadership quality about you. But are these you're giving them both strategic ideas, but you're alluding to tactical ideas. Mm-hmm. And my first question is, are those both strategic and tactical ideas in your book?
Well, okay, let's define strategic and tactical. Okay. Strategic is a long-term problem solving, right? So I create a system. So tactical is a fire that flares up today, right? So this guy, the saw breaks down and no one says anything. That's a tactical issue. But how do we solve it strategically? We create a troubleshooting thing. We put it on there. That's there. If you come to me, I'll have your head. With that's strategy, right? So they'll never come to knock on my door until they've done everything on this sheet, right? But tactically, we built it today. I solved the problem today and now forever, right? So we have those 2 things. So in my book, what I do, I really break this down. So,
by the way, what's the name of your book? There it is.
Escape the Owner Prison. Escape the Owner Prison. Now, if you know anything about titles, I wrote 27 different titles for this book, trying to come up with the title. I went with the 28th one. That's how hard it was. So it took me 28 tries. And then I won't even talk about the subtitle. That was even worse. But so if you're ever going to write a book, writing a book's a piece of cake. The title, subtitle, it'll take longer than the whole thing. But so in the book, what it does, it breaks down these basics that every business should have. And believe it or not, like they don't do it. And when you read it, like, well, that should be normal, but people don't do it. You know, I talk about like what you present yourself with. You roll up to an estimate. And the example I use is a guy comes in with kind of a rusted out, beat up van, opens the door, some fast food wrappers fall out onto the ground. He's smoking a cigarette, walks up, flicks it in the bushes, knocks on the door, says hello, doesn't give him a business card, walks in with the dirty boots to give him a painting estimate, starts walking around the carpets, right? Like, oh my God, like people don't, everybody does that. Okay. They all do it except the really successful people. Okay. That's the guy, look at it. And then he offers this overly cheap price for 3 times the amount of work that he really wants to do. Okay. Because he's trying to make payroll for Friday. Right. And that's the cycle, right, that they're in. Instead of, you roll up in whatever the vehicle is, it's a newer model vehicle. It's decaled, right? He gets out, everything's clean. He comes, he knocks, he stays on the sidewalk, doesn't walk on the grass because only sailors and dogs walk on the grass. So he doesn't walk on the grass. All right. And so he knocks on the door. And when it comes, he presents his business card and he says, I'm here for the estimate grade. He comes in, he puts on his shoe booties, right? Puts them over his boots, everything else, put the carpet, goes in, get electronic measurement, does all the walls, asks about colors and trim and this. Doesn't just throw it out, be $1,500. Now, give me a minute. I'm going to go to my car. I'm going to put this together. I'll be back in 10 minutes with got a printer in there. He prints out the whole estimate, walks inside, does a presentation, closes the deal for 2.5 times what the other guy charged, and he gets the deal.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. That's the kind of stuff that's in the, like, why and how you do it.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
It reminds me a lot of, a lot of businesses, they don't sweat the small stuff. So when you're working with a lot of these businesses, and they pull in somebody like you because it's like they need someone 10,000 foot view or whatever analogy cliche you want to use that is not in the business, but just needs to understand here's what needs work. Here's your opportunities. Here's what we need to pull apart. How much of it is that type of stuff, the 5-star experiences, the small stuff, the like look what Chick-fil-A is doing, or is it more along the lines of, listen, the sales system is broken. And so we have to holistically work and pull this thing apart. Is it both?
Well, let me tell you how I do it. I'll share my process.
Okay.
So when they start the program, the first thing they do is a business assessment. There's 12 different areas of every business, right? And it's everything from finance to leadership to marketing to brand awareness, the whole thing, right? So I have, and actually it's quite long, it's 159 questions to be exact, yes or no questions. And you answer these in each group. Each group has about 13, 14 questions. And you go through and you answer like yes or no. Do you have this system? Do you have this? And they go through and it scores it, right? You get a score, and there's 4 different categories in that score. Top being battle ready. It's literally called battle ready. And then the lowest category is called battle restricted. Like you can't even be in the game. You're that broken. Okay. Like you are on your way out. You're about to be, fully invaded, conquered, put in chains, and
swallowed into the earth.
Yes. The whole thing's going to open up. Achan, we'll go biblical. Achan's going to get swallowed up with the earth. Okay. Okay. So
confetti.
That's a Joshua reference now. That's Joshua. Okay. After they did, whatever. Jericho. They took Jericho and he stole the stuff. Okay. Enough of the Bible stuff. Okay. So, but they take this and it gives them a place to start. So what I'm able to do with that assessment we've created is shows me right where their business is right now and shows them. So now we'll go into those 12 areas and we'll prioritize them. And it's not just by low score, because some low score areas are not relevant to the business at this time, right? Like recurring income is a section. You may not be there. You've been in business 4 years. And like that is not a priority right now because maybe you're just general sales. Maybe your leadership is an issue. So they put the priorities themselves. And then after we do the basics, the strategic vision and job function like that, now we start systemizing each one of those sections, right? So we'll take it through that way. So there's a roadmap that they're able to follow, but we show them how to do it and we make them and their team do it. So I definitely don't make the owner do it all because that'll never happen. No owner, and this is almost 100%. No owner wants to systemize their business. They want it systemized.
Correct.
They're not going to do it.
Correct.
They don't have the mind space. They don't have the desire. I mean, I totally get it. And that's so it's like
if
how do we bring the teams in? Yeah.
If I'm hearing you correctly, your sweet spot is with contractors, roofers, siding, installers, remodelers, painters, plumbers, HVAC, that type of work.
Sure. Manufacturing. I mean, it really is that's the really kind of, I guess you call it sweet spot, right? I thought it was another word. I forget, but
okay.
That works.
I love it.
That's sweet.
What it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and people don't realize those are roofers. These are lucrative businesses. A lot of money in, but a lot of money out too. Mm-hmm. And so, and you 1 or 2 bad months and you're in a different world. And so consistency is key with all this. What you're saying sounds great. Systemize the whole thing. What can somebody, for the process, I think you said it's a year-long process. Mm-hmm. Okay. Correct. So a 12-month program, which is great. What can somebody expect to pay for something like this? And after and I want you to confidently just give me a ballpark range of price. Okay.
So I'll give you 2 things. Okay. So I'll start with, I'll give you a comparison. I'll give you an analogy.
I should have said invest, not pay.
Okay. Yes. I'll take care of that part, Dan. Come on. You should know better.
Okay. All right.
Okay. But I'll give you a comparison. If you were to hire, let's say, a mid-level employee, talking mid to lower level employee, and they're going to work for you for a year, okay, what would you have at the end of that year? You'd have some work done, right? They would do their job. They'd sweep the floors and they would empty the trash and they would hammer some nails and do their thing, right? Now, if I came in and said, listen, for that same price, I'm going to fully systemize your business and get all this dialed in and give you back your freedom and everything else, would that be of value? Would that be better than hiring an employee?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, value.
I'm a buyer. Okay.
Right. So
High
let's
five.
say let's say you come in. We'll talk a number. It's $45,000. It's $45,000 for 12 months. Okay. It's $45,600. Okay. It's $3,800 a month for me to coach your company, to you, the owner, and work with your team for 12 months to have those results, to give you the freedom you've always wanted.
After that year,
After
what
that
can
year,
what can I expect to see
in the business? So I'll give you some examples. So you'll see revenue increase. Okay. And if you've noticed, we haven't talked about making more money for companies. Have you noticed that?
Love it.
Is that weird? Like, most people want to say, how do you make more money? Well, if you do what we talked about, you have no choice but to make more money. You will make lots more money. I have companies that have gone, say they're doing $2 million a year. Okay, we got this in place. The next year, $3 million. That's a significant increase. And they did, here's the best part, a third of the work. Okay, so when you can reduce the work you have to do, I don't mean the owner's work, I mean the company's work. Right?
Yes.
You reduce, instead of doing 12 jobs, at a time, you're doing 3. You do that and increase by $1 million in revenue, I think that's successful.
You're as good as they get. I just love Jerry. Did you see what Jerry Bobulinski says? Look at this. Yeah, see, these people know. You got to qualify me first. That is absolutely awesome. Thank you, Jerry.
I wasn't trapped, Jerry. I'm better than that.
Yeah, he doesn't.
You can't scare me.
I'll
come pop your head like a zit if I don't like
it. Confetti for that.
That's right.
Anytime you talk about acne on the show, you're home free.
Can I share it's a really quick little story talking about that?
It's your show.
So I'm building this massive water feature. Well, I had done a huge, like the finest on the North Shore of Chicago for this guy. And he screwed me out of $70,000 at the end of the deal, right? Had to do the court thing for years and all that kind of stuff. Really didn't like that guy much. Well, now I'm down the road, like literally a mile, and there's this massive water feature I'm gonna do, beautiful in the backyard. It's a huge backyard, and me and my client and his wife were sitting around their pool. We're at the table, the birds are chirping, the sun's out. We're doing a contract, right? And it's over 6 figures for this thing, and I'm like, right now, finish it, and I go to slide it across the table, and I stopped, and I told him about this guy down the street, right, and what happened, and I swear this, this came over. I was like, I put my hand on the paper and they said, do you know what I'll do to you if you don't pay me? And I looked at him and he just went, one hit, I'm laying down, Now, good things. Every 3-4 days, he brought me money. Like, he just kept bringing me checks every few days, But we became the best of friends. We went and did some businesses together. Like, phenomenal guy, right? But and I'm like, I don't recommend anyone do that. Yeah. Okay. But it worked for me.
Not just anyone can say that.
Yes,
right.
And that was.
But it shows you can. If I always tell people, don't worry about how to sell. Worry about why people buy. People buy because they like you, they trust you, they believe you, and then they'll have a desire to do business with you. If they have that desire to do business with you, and you have that relationship, you could say nearly anything, and it works. Right. Conversely, if they don't like you, there is nothing you can say to make
Exactly.
Make it work.
All,
well, this is awesome. So here's last question. Who can I recommend to you? Like, give me the perfect, if I talk to somebody and they say, blah, 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 I say, man, I got a guy.
So let me give you what's called the ICP, right? The ideal client profile. So I want someone in business between 5 and 15 years. They have between 5 and 50 employees. They're doing at least $1 million a year in gross revenue. Really, my sweet spot's that $1 million through $30 million is about where it happens. And that's really what I'm looking for. You know, those
And
people are, because they're in that position. I don't work with startups, Dan, and I have an online startup program so someone can take, and it's a 16-week, real intense, amazing startup program people can do online. It's because startups, they don't have any scars. They don't have any experience. You can't drive value home to them. Yeah, there it is. Good job. And but it's really, I just can't, because they're not in it yet. They got to go hit a wall a few times. You know, they got to fail, and they got to understand, because that's how the value gets created. And what I do is I compress time, right? This is time compression. I will save you 10 years of costly mistakes, bad decisions, possibly even your whole business failing. That's really my goal, because my ultimate goal, Dan, is to help 10,000 business owners escape the owner prison. That's my mission. And if I can do that, like I said earlier, you could affect hundreds or thousands of people in a community by how a business operates. Imagine that times 10,000. We changed the way people do business. We're not doing it, and I'm going biblical. We're not doing the Pharaoh model. Okay, we're not doing the Pharaoh model. We just, got 100,000 slaves. I'm trying to get that last piece up on the pyramid, and they can't do it. And what does Pharaoh say? Kill 50,000 of them, and then the other 50,000 get it up to the top. Right? Okay, we don't do business that way, right? We don't motivate that way. So it's a different way to do business. It's the new way to do business.
That's right. Yeah, motivation and manipulation are two sides of the same coin. You got to know how to work those things.
The Pharaoh reference is amazing. And also, I was today years old when I realized ICP didn't stand for Insane Clown Posse. It actually stands for Ideal Client Profile. So, and of course, for an acronym, what do we get?
Oh yeah, you always get that.
Yeah, good acronym.
There's been a lot of confetti. Okay, so how some personal stuff. So how long you been married?
24 years, going on my 25th year. Yeah.
She still likes you?
She does. It's astounding. Now, I will tell you, she gets like all the credit, like the kids thing. Like I taught art and PE, so we homeschool. Like I do art and PE. She does all the stuff that takes intelligence. Okay, so just being transparent.
It's funny every time there's a musclehead guy.
Right.
They're actually little teddy bears. They're the softest. I don't know you, and I didn't ask this before, but I bet you cry like a baby when you see your kids. Oh, maybe not. Look at I lost.
No. It depends on the situation, right?
Yeah.
Actually, my wife had a discussion just yesterday about like joy, like what brings you joy. And I get a little in the head. I'm like, well, I need the definition. We got to decide on the definition of joy. Like having more money, that makes me happy, but that's a temporary feeling because the money can go away. I said, when I look at my kids, that's joy because they're part of who I am, right? I have joy in the Lord, right? The peace that surpasses all understanding. That's joy. That's something that can't be taken away, right? So yes, that's how odd I get.
Just grounded and pure. Well, I can't tell you how much I thank you coming on. I've literally learned stuff today, and I'm thinking of. I got one guy, a roofer, does about $2.5 million, looking to grow.
I had a roofing company. I can talk roofing. I had a roofing company.
Well, I mean, but for what you said, for $50,000, and at the end, totally systemized, that could build the value. Once you have those systems, it doesn't increase just your revenue. It increases your EBITDA. It increases the multiple on that EBITDA, and increasing the value of the business as a whole. Because
what we want to do, and this is part of the program, right? So in the beginning is I'll give you another little thing that we do. It's called exit strategy. It's like almost the third thing we do. It's about the third thing we do in this program. We figure out how much is enough, timeframes, investment opportunities, passive income generation. I haven't figured all that out. Most people wait till they're 10 years in, or they're going to do it. Then all of a sudden, they say you're 10, 15 years in, all of a sudden you don't have an exit strategy, you haven't planned. Okay. You don't know what your business is really worth because you haven't built it to sell. So all that is also part of what we're doing. Like you say, when you do all that, no one wants to buy a business, come in and figure it out and systemize it. Here's what I want. I want someone to come in and say, Richard, I want to buy Sharpen the Spear Coaching. I'll say, okay, I'd like $35 million. Great, here's the check. I shake their hand. I'm out the door. They're in. Nobody knows the business was sold because it operates. It's all right. That's what people want. That's who's going to buy your business. The other person going to buy your business is the guy who comes in and give you 10 cents on the dollar because he knows you're a hot mess, but he wants your mail list. He wants your customer list, and he's going to systemize this thing because he's probably been through my program. He knows how to do it now with other businesses. He's going to come in and make that thing worth a fortune inside 3 years. So there.
This is just great. Okay, one last question because we got to go then. When you say we're going to buy my program, is it you or do you got a bunch of guys doing this for you?
Both. I have coaches. I have coaches on staff, all seasoned entrepreneurs who go through our program and are all well vetted, and it's a tough selection process. But I also still coach. So we have a number of coaches. Yeah.
And do people have access to you?
They do.
Okay.
They do because
Well,
I'm a giver. Great. I'm a giver.
Yes, I can tell. He gives it all. And now, one thing is Chris Stone. After all this, is he not the world's best producer? Look at this guy.
He's amazing.
I know. It's as good.
No one's done this before. I've been on 30, 40 podcasts, and you get to take the top slot right now.
Only the best. Well, yeah. we appreciate it, and we do that for you. Chris Stone, thank you so much again. He makes everything so much easier for everybody. He really is. If you don't leave them with one last piece of word of wisdom, I'll have to make something up. So do you got one last thing you could give to the car buying public?
Yes, I'll give you one of my own quotes. How about that? Is the confetti ready?
Oh,
is the confetti ready?
I need to
I know we're probably over the top on the confetti.
Now he's got something else?
Cocky. I don't know. Okay. So I always think, and this is about business, okay? And this is something, and it's a life lesson. Okay, so ready? All right. It's good every now and then to taste your own blood spilt by others. Okay? So if you think about it, you got to be in the fight, okay? You're in the fight. You got to be in the fight, and that's going to happen. Okay? As a boxer, which I was and still work out hard on that, it's important to know that because that's where you learn the most. So that's a good thing. Okay? And yes, that's
Bible-thumping boxing warrior. And the final accomplishment, he was on DJ Live. I thank you so much for showing up today. For all of you watching, I wish nothing but good things to happen to you for the rest of your life. Stick around for a second, Richard, when we're done. Eat well, live long, and prosper. Go get them today. Here he is. Oh, Chris left.
Here we are.
Hey, dude, that was great.